second and final race of the weekend for the Finishline Classic Stock Cats Championship is underway now, and a great sight these cars make as they head down to Ridge's Corner for the first time. It was an all Peugeot 205 front row, but it's the driver from the second row of the grid. Yesterday's race winner, Stuart Place, has made his way into the lead of the race. Off the circuit goes the number 92 car there. That's Rick Groom at the first corner, Ridges. But it's Stuart Place leading from the pole position man, Chris Deere. And up into third place has gone number 41, Jason Wood, from fifth on the grid. So a very good start from him. He finished fifth yesterday as well. This grid based by the second fastest lap times set in qualifying. But it's Stuart Place then that has the lead. Chris Deere is in second. Jason Wood is third. Neil Dudman, who was with Chris Deere on the front row, is in fourth position. And it's Pip Hammond in fifth. Ben Bateman, sixth. Chris Deere having a look up the inside of Stuart Place then as they make their way into Agostini that time, but he couldn't make it through. It was Stuart Place that led the championship by 8 points over Pip Hammond coming into this weekend. He extended that yesterday with a victory in the first race. And he's got the best possible start here, although Chris Deere trying to go around the outside of him at Oggies. That time he drops a wheel onto the grass as a result of that. And so it's Place that holds on for the moment, but the first at least 3-4 cars still in very close proximity. Watch out for Pip Hammond as well. He's in fifth position at the moment. He was on the podium yesterday, and he's already been a winner this season at Croft, multiple champion in Classic Stock Catch, of course. Very experienced driver now in a number of different disciplines. But it's Place that is leading, the man that was champion last year. And the driver of car number 87 is from Suffolk, so I think Snetterton counts as his home race in the championship. So be keen to do well here, I say. Had the win yesterday. Can he complete the double this morning here at Snetterton? He's still got that advantage over Chris Deere, but not a very big one. Chris Deere, who was the champion in 2022, overcoming Pete Morgan in a very close championship fight on that occasion. So both of these drivers know quite a lot about winning Classic Stock Cats Championships and Classic Stock Cats Championship races. Both of them fairly experienced now at racing these Peugeot 205s. Neil Dudman, another Peugeot 205 driver, a bit more of a newcomer to the championship. He's lost a place there, though, to Pip Hammond. Pip Hammond up to fourth by the end of the lap. And now Ben Bateman in another Nova, trying to make it Novas in third, fourth and fifth, trying to go around the outside of Dudman as well. He might just about have made that work as well. He has. So Ben Bateman, who's won on his debut meeting at Donington Park a couple of seasons ago, he is now up into fifth place at the expense of Neil Dudman. So it's two Peugeots, three Vauxhalls, then another Peugeot. Then you get, I think, the first of the Fords, which is number 44, Stuart Cleveley, who has a very good sixth place finish yesterday. And then Darren Bassingthwaite, DB, as it says on the timing tower, he's there in eighth position in car number 18. Now Dudman trying to fight back on Bateman here as they headed into the left-hander, but we also have a good battle a bit further back down the order. That is James Hazelhurst that's doing battle with Andy Anderson in the Suzuki Swift. Meanwhile, the two leaders at it as well. Stuart Place just about holding on from Chris Deere. And then you've got the two Novas together, Jason Wood and Pip Hammond. Jason, who had a popular first Classic Stock Catch win at Silverstone in the last round of the championship. He's third in the standings behind Place and Hammond coming into this weekend. So he's also in championship contention this year. Through now the left and right-hander at Brundle and Nelson. The two Novas almost leaning on one another there. Make it three Novas wide almost, because it looked like Ben Bateman was trying to buy into that as well. Now what's going to happen there as they come through the bomb hole? Well, certainly Bateman's got past Pip Hammond now and up into fourth place. It's not often that you'll see Pip Hammond muscled aside like that. Pip with all of his experience. He last won the championship in 2020. Also won it when it was Stock Catch Class B quite a few years ago. He's written all kinds of different things in between times there as Pip Hammond. Over the line go the first two, and as though the Novas have battled, Stuart Place and Chris Deere at the end of lap 2 have pulled out a bit of a gap over the rest of them. Chris Deere started out racing in Metros quite a long time ago. Only switching into Classic Stock Catch in more recent seasons. And Classic Stock Catch, a fantastic championship, because this is for cars of the hot hatches, effectively, of the 1980s and early 1990s. So certainly this is my era of hot hatch. And these Classic Stock Catches, obviously relatively limited modifications to these cars can be made. They all run on the Toyo tyres as well. That's been a relatively recent switch. They've got different characteristics than the Yokohamas that the cars raced on previously. That's taken the drivers just a little bit of getting used to. Lap record for these cars is a 2:23.10 for Matt Rosier. Finn Groom set the fastest lap time yesterday, but in the 2:25s, so not that close to it. And possibly that might partly be due to the different tyres that the cars now run on. Rosier's lap record was set 7 years ago. Ben Bateman with Pip Hammond right behind him then. They're just letting Jason Wood get away a little bit here. Neil Dudman and Stuart Cleveley in that number 44 car. The XR2. Carburetted rather than the later injection model. But that's going pretty well here as well. Stuart Place, though, still leading. He made a great start to this race to get through from 4th on the grid to be leading very early on. And he's still ahead of Chris Deere, who started on pole position. Ben Bateman and Pip Hammond through Nelson they now go. See a lot of the drivers here with the open face style crash helmets you can see in the cars. Not the full face helmets that typically drivers would be wearing, certainly in open cars. A lot of drivers in closed cars will wear that style of helmet as well. So through Coram towards Murray's they go then. You can see there's not a lot to choose between any of these cars at all. Yesterday's race was won by just about 1 second by Stuart Place. Just 2 non-finishes yesterday. Those were Ryan Clark and Darren Bassingthwaite. As Stuart Place, now the leader of the race, does the best lap of 2:25.459. Not quite as quick as Finn Groom went yesterday, but still about half of this race left to go. Of course, it's a very long lap that we have here at Snetterton, just under 3 miles in length. The longest lap that these cars will typically race on during the course of the year. Stuart Place and Chris Deere then, still out in front. There's what, 3 or 4 car lengths between them. Jason Wood not that far behind in third. Then Ben Bateman, Pip Hammond, Neil Dudman, Stuart Cleveley. Gap back to James Hazelhurst now, who's up into 8th place. He's been a race winner in the past at Silverstone a few years ago now. Through Agostini, the left-handed hairpin they go. Ooh, Wood's not quite as quick as Ben Bateman through that part of the circuit, and Ben Bateman will start to nibble at the back of the red PDC racing car now. Pip Hammond, although, were equally as efficient through the Agostini hairpin, and then Hamilton, as was number 93 Ben Bateman. Short oval racer before coming into circuit racing. And now Bateman is alongside Jason Wood into Williams. Can he make the move there before they even get onto the Bentley Straight? Yes, he can. Now, will Jason Wood mind that too much? Because now he can pick up the tow from Ben Bateman and possibly try and get back ahead down the Bentley Straight. And there's some hand signals going on there. Whether they're let's work together hand signals or what, I'm not quite sure. Down towards the Brundle they go, and it's Pip Hammond who had a double tow, diving out of Jason Wood's slipstream, but he doesn't go through, so he stays 5th for the moment. Neil Dudman just behind him in 6th as well. Fantastic looking cars, these Novas. Very nicely turned out. Then you've got the immaculately liveried Neil Dudman car in 6th position. Here are the 2 leaders, though. Chris Deere a bit closer to Stuart Place than he has been during this race. Stuart Place will be carrying a bit more ballast after his win yesterday. That could cause a problem for him at certain parts of the circuit. They do run success ballast in Classic Stock Catch to try and match things out over the course of the season, not allow one driver to run away with things. Does seem to work pretty well. It's generally very competitive. Place then leading from Deere in second, Bateman third, now ahead of Wood then after that move at Williams on the last lap, and then Pip Hammond in fifth, Neil Dudman sixth. And Stuart Cleveley, yes, he's called into the pits. You can see on the timing screen there he was in seventh place, and pit change there for fourth now. Pip Hammond up on the inside at the Wilson hairpin, ahead of Jason Wood. Wood is going to have the inside line though for Palmer, so is he going to get the car turned in first? They're still more or less side by side, and they're still overlapping as they come onto this straight past the cafeteria and into Agostini. It's going to be Jason Wood on the inside line, number 41. Pip Hammond, number 71, on the outside line. I think it's Pip Hammond, yes, that's done it. So Pip Hammond, number 71, does take the place. He goes up to fourth spot now, but yeah, I thought Sir Jason Wood might get a cut back on him on the exit of the hairpin, but Hammond does hold on. But look how much ground he's lost to Ben Bateman in doing all of that. Lost quite a bit of time. He was 9/10 of a second behind Bateman at the start of the lap was Jason Wood, and the gap between between Bateman and the rest now is probably more like a couple of seconds. And Bateman indeed has closed the gap on the first two as well on Stuart Place and Chris Deere. Probably about 2.5 laps to go in this race then. It's number 87, Stuart Place, still leading from number 46, Chris Deere in second. 93, Ben Bateman is in third place as the sun beats down on this gorgeous morning here at Snetterton. You can see Stuart Place has got the driver's and passenger side window just cracked open, as has Chris Deere actually, just to allow a bit of ventilation and a bit of airflow through the car. It will be very hot in these cars on a day like today. And Chris Deere still pushing on, trying to find a way past the very defensive Stuart Place. Through Coram they go now. Up towards Murray's once again. And it is now 3 cars for the lead. Up on 3 wheels there goes Chris Deere. He gets a good run out of Murray's though. Can he pull alongside Stuart Place on the centre straight? Up to the line they come. I think there'll be 2 laps to go here. And again, he's just lost a couple of lengths there, has Chris Deere. Down towards Richards then for what I think is going to be the penultimate time. And look, Pip Hammond has closed back in on Ben Bateman as well. So really, we could have it's really a 6-car battle this, because the top 6 separated by less than 2.3 seconds with 2 laps to go. Fantastic racing from the Finishline Classics.Cats Championship, as it so often is. Stuart Place, Pip Hammond, Jason Wood, the winners so far this season. Well, 3 of those drivers are in contention here. Is now Ben Bateman up the inside of Chris Deere at Palmer to get second place away. Well, that's one nail in the coffin of Chris Deere's hopes of winning this race. It's a big help to Stuart Place as well, and Chris Deere's lost 2 places. He might lose 3 places here. Jason Wood very locked up. Oh, and he's made contact with Pip Hammond. The 2 Nova drivers make contact. Oh, that's disaster for Pip Hammond. That was unintentional, I think. Jason Wood just out braking himself, but that has made things a bit easier for the 2 cars that are now out front, which is Stuart Place and Ben Bateman. Ben Bateman eventually classified 7th yesterday after a steward's decision. And it looks like he's going to be on the podium possibly here. So there you can see Jason Wood and Pip Hammond and Chris Deere, who was in second. Good to see that all of those cars are still running after that hairy moment down into Agostini. But here's the leader, Stuart Place, number 87. Now it's Ben Bateman, number 93, in second place. Number 48, Neil Dudman, is the driver that really benefited the most from that. He's up to third position now. Only just over 1 lap to go in this race here at Snetterton. I don't think we'll quite have ticked down to 0 seconds by the end of this lap, so we should get one more. Timed races that we have these days with the 750 Motor Club, 15-minute races. And in the case of the Stock Catchers, it looks like we're going to get 7 laps of racing out of it. Out through Coram they go then for the penultimate time. And what was looking like a 6-way fight for victory. Victory's looking a bit more straightforward, but we've got a 3-way fight for 4th position here. Here's Stuart Place over the line. What's his gap now? It's 9/10 of a second over Ben Bateman. And Chris Deere, oh yes, Chris Deere's called into the pits on the final lap. He was in the top 6, of course, but maybe picked up some damage in everything that was going on out there, or maybe a problem with the car caused him to drop back down the order initially. But Chris Deere into the pits and out of the race. So just the 2 cars left disputing 4th position now, and it's Pip Hammond ahead of Jason Wood. So Pip Hammond getting the move done. Jason Wood down to 5th. There's our leader then, Stuart Place, with 2/3 of a lap to go. Out of Palmer, there's Hazelhurst. So he had some early battles, but he's made his way up into 6th place. He finished 8th yesterday. Down to Agostini Hairpin, a bit less eventful for the 2 Novas this time around. No outbraking being done by Jason Wood there, where we got into the side of Pip Hammond's car on the previous lap, unintentionally, of course. Stuart Place then, number 87, looking like he's going to do the double here. This would make it 4 race wins this season. It will really extend his lead over Pip Hammond and Jason Wood here, who are obviously disputing 4th and 5th here at the moment. Yesterday, Hammond was 3rd and Jason Wood 5th. And a couple of wins for Stuart Place will give him a very strong position in the championship going to Cadwell Park. Next double header in the championship in July. Then it's going to be Brands Hatch in August and Mallory Park in October to round out the Finishline Classic Stock Cats Championship season. Stuart Place turning his way through Nelson then for the final time, 7th and final time in this race. East Anglian driver having great success at the East Anglian venue on the calendar. Ben Bateman in 2nd place. The driver from Coventry looks to be heading for a podium finish here, and he's already had a couple of those this season. 2 3rd place finishes at Croft. It's closed the gap, I think, a bit to Stuart Place on this final lap, but not enough to attack really, and even a drag race to the line I think would prove futile. Checker flag is made ready then, and it goes out to Stuart Place. A double this weekend for Stuart Place in the Peugeot 205 here at Snetterton in the Finishline Classic Stock Cats Championship. He extends his championship lead. 2nd to Ben Bateman, 3rd to Pip Hammond, 4th to Jason Wood. Sorry, 3rd to Neil Dudman, 4th to Pip Hammond, 5th to Jason Wood. Ben Bateman getting the fastest lap of the race on the very last lap as well, a 2:25.173. And just waiting for the final few cars to come across the line. That's number 49, Graham Rees. I think it's going to be Ewan Lintz that takes 15th place. Yes, he does in another of the Novas. And I think there's then just Alan Dooley to come through and complete the finishes. So let's have a look at the results of that race. After 7 laps, it was a win for Stuart Place by just under 0.6 of a second from Ben Bateman. Neil Dudman 3rd, ahead of Pip Hammond, Jason Wood, James Hazelhurst. Finn and Rick Dream finished 7th and 8th, ahead of Terry Roughton and Andy Anderson in the iconic Suzuki Swift GTI, ahead of Martin Kayser, Titch Kelsall, Martin Rogers and Graham Rees. And just a couple more finishers to tell you about. Ewan Lintz and a lap down, Alan Dooley. We lost a couple of cars to the pits, Chris Deere and Stuart Cleveley, and also Darren Bassingthwaite during the course of that race for the Classic Stock Cats Championship. Well, then at Cadwell Park next in a month's time, but let's now head down to Parc Fermé and hear from Kieran Mogg.
The hot hatches never fail to deliver, do they? And we'll quickly jump in with our race winner and current championship leader, I believe, Stuart Place. Stuart, you had a busy race yesterday, but that was one heck of a busy race for you today.
Yeah, Chris made me work for that one. I knew if I could just hold him back, I had to drive defensively. We've got so much weight in the car. I'm not the most confident, but I knew if I could get in front, just make the car as wide as I could. I thought we could hang on to it. Tyres went off a little way towards the end, but I don't know what happened to Chris, but I saw him back off, and at that point, that gave me a bit of a breather, so, you know, and then I see Ben catching me, but I tried to manage the gap, and we were pretty good, so very pleased. Very hot, very worn out now.
I'm not surprised. It is getting warm out there. How is the track conditions, obviously, with the heat coming in?
It's very, very hot. It's very greasy. I normally run a very, very small amount of tread, but unfortunately we've run out of that kind of tyre, so we were now running what I don't really like, so I knew it was going to be a challenge, but we hung in there.
Absolutely, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, thank you. I'll go to our second place man, Ben Bateman. Ben, if I could just jump in here a second. That was one hell of a storm, and you got the fastest lap on the very last lap as well. Yeah, so how was it?
Oh, that was just amazing. Really hot out there. We had a last-minute alignment set up this morning by Absolute Alignment, Chris Deere. Sadly, obviously didn't finish this race. It's absolutely transformed the car. It's really good.
And how did you find the competition out there?
Competition's stiff, very stiff.
It looks like 3 wide into several different corners and 4 wide down the straights. It was a busy race.
Absolutely, yeah, very busy.
Well, congratulations on the second place.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, thank you. And now we'll jump in with Neil Dudman. Neil, if I could just jump in here a second. Just about managed to get the third there. Congratulations.
Just about, yeah. I kind of was holding on there for a bit like yesterday. I was waiting for something to happen, and luckily it did today, which was fantastic. Sorry for Pip and Jason, but I think I could have probably had Jason. But yeah, it was very exciting and hard work again, and very hot at the front end of the pit.
Yeah. Obviously, we're just speaking to people about the track conditions and with the heat and everything. Are you finding that you're suited a bit more to the hot conditions?
No, I think after about 4 laps, our front tyres go off. So any long sweepers, we're having to take a different line, or I'm having to take a different line. But you could say I take a different line every lap I do. But yeah, the tyres get really hot, really slick on the front. But it adds to the fun, and quorum at 100 mile an hour with no grip is exciting, to say the least.
Exactly. It's exciting, not scary. That's the point of it.
Yeah, it is. Thanks to Absolute Alignment, Joe Green Transport, and Schaefer Racing Development as well. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. So thank you for those guys. Awesome. And we roll on to Cadwell now.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on your third place.
Thanks so much, guys. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you very much. And we'll head back up to the commentators for the next race.